Let me introduce our next speaker, Mr. Chris Bergey, who is the Senior Vice President and General Manager of the client line of business at ARM. He is responsible for defining the compute platform that shapes user experience in the smartphone, the metaverse, gaming, and laptop, tablet markets. And his presentation is on why AI must happen at the edge and how we democratize AI. Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you, Yang. Appreciate that. It was awesome to hear Berkeley talk. You know, I was thinking about how much Instagram has kind of changed monetization. If you think about, you know, what's happening in your palm of your hand with influencers and all those kinds of things. So it's really interesting to think about this next wave of financial things happening in the palm of your hand. So it's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. I think most of you probably know about ARM, but ARM is the world's largest supplier of computing IP. There's over 300 billion semiconductors that have been sold at this point in time with ARM's computing IP. So I think if there's a company to talk about computing at the edge, we're in a pretty good place to do so. And obviously, AI is a big part of the future. And so personally, I'm an AI optimist. I believe, and our company believes, that we're at probably the most exciting time in the history of our lifetimes. This is a once-in-a-generational moment. And I know you've probably seen all of the AI signs, and AI is in every presentation at MWC. But let's just take a little bit of a step back. And the reality is that we've been doing AI for quite some time. We just haven't seen it. There's some invisible AI that's been happening in the background, you know, making graphics better, enhancing video conferencing. And we're just starting to see that come to the forefront with some of these new use cases that, quite frankly, even a year ago at this show, were not comprehended by many. So I know that many of you are still skeptical, but I think the key is, do you really understand AI? And personally, I'm quite certain that this is not another hype cycle. And in the long run, it's very much going to change the way that we do things. So if we take a look at many of the early ideas of where Gen AI can or is being applied, these are some interesting ones. And one of the ones I like to talk about is healthcare. Drug discovery spends a lot of time in trying to do clinical trials to understand the outcomes of drugs and how to improve drugs and to make them effective. It is believed that AI is going to basically cut the R&D cycle by 50% in leveraging AI for building next-generation drugs. And of course, that's great in being able to lower the cost of medicine, but think about what that means relative to putting medicine in the hands of people who need it faster. And of course, you've got autonomous, you've got the idea of using AI to better understand climate change. But I think that we all are not quite at the point where we've really had that transformative moment with AI. And, you know, being here at GSMA at the show, you know, I think there was a couple for me. One was the first time I used an iPhone, and really that Safari mobile browsing experience, and it kind of taught you about what a phone could be. Or now, what we expect with the camera capabilities in our pocket. I don't own another camera. And just social networking. I mentioned Instagram, but just think about how social networking has changed the way that, in both positive ways and also some ways that we're still dealing with, in how this next generation communicates and how they think about themselves and their environment. For me, the most exciting thing that I enjoy on AI is meeting summarization. I don't know if when people go on Zoom calls or Teams calls, you know, you are able to have it create a meeting summarization after the meeting, and you can tell it how many words you want, and it is better than I could have wrote myself, and it would have taken me 20 minutes to write that. So I think we're going to start seeing many more of those use cases, and we're just at the cusp. So we're seeing amazing progress. right? If you just look at what OpenAI has done with ChatGPT, we've gone from preschooler to now the capabilities are beyond a PhD student. And this has happened in literally just a few years. So what's next? Reasoning, problem solving. And this is going to have to be done at the edge in making your device even more personal. So Berkeley talked about the power problem, and I'd like to just give you my perspective. So if you look at an OpenAI ChatGPT search, it's actually 15 times the amount of power versus a traditional search. This is causing power to increase 2x every 100 days. That's the equivalent of 43,000 US households. Left unabated, this will drive 3x the total global power grid that we have today. That is not a solvable problem. The reality is, with this power problem, we're not going to be able to enjoy what AI can bring to us. Because ultimately, no power means no AI. So the solution is that we need to rethink everything, starting with how we build devices to be performant for AI. We believe AI must happen at the edge. And there's many positive things that can happen around that, but think about a world where we don't have apps anymore, where AI is the app. The amount of applications, as Berkeley mentioned, is huge. We're going to see this in amazing devices. And I'd like to highlight a few that I think are very interesting at this point in time. Ray-Ban Meta glasses. I've been an early adopter. I've got a couple pairs myself, to be honest. But this was a product that was created to basically take pictures, take movies, create images, and that you could quickly post on Instagram. Well, now they've added the power of AI. And not only was it able to use AI to improve the picture quality, but you now can ask it questions saying, what am I looking at? Or you can go to your favorite tapas restaurant tonight, and you can say, tell me which are the vegetarian options when you're looking at the menu in Spanish. And maybe you don't read Spanish like I don't. This is not just for early adopters. This is actually the top-selling product in 60% of Ray-Ban stores here in Europe. Starting to see broad-based adoption. Project Digix is an NVIDIA project that was just announced at CES. This is also based on the latest ARM technology, our V9 cores, and it offers a petaflop of AI compute on your desk. That is unheard of. We're also really excited about what's happening in the model space. And so today, we actually did an announcement with Stability AI. Stability AI is a leading open source AI company specialized in generative models and is best known for stable diffusion. But what we did was we worked with them, and we were able to create on a CPU. You can basically put in text, and you can create an audio clip that can be paired with your video that you just created. Well, okay, that sounds like something you could do in the cloud. Yes, you could do that in the cloud. And in fact, that took last year to do that, to create this audio clip where you can say, play a song using a horn, electric guitar, and a bell. Do it at house style and 120 beats per minute. And boom, a few seconds later, you've got it. But why it's interesting is we've been able to do that with no use in the cloud. And we've been able to do it on an ARM CPU that is ubiquitous. So every smartphone today can leverage this. So that is the kind of things that we need to be thinking about, because we need to democratize AI. It's not about just putting it in the most premium products and for the most premium applications. We need to be able to distribute this. And the models are getting so efficient. As I mentioned, to do that stability AI demo, it would have taken a high-end GPU probably about 4 minutes to build that clip. All of a sudden now, we're able to do it in 7 seconds in any handset. So we all play a role in this democratization that needs to happen. In the end, we believe in a smarter, faster, more sustainable, local of AI device, and hopefully you do too. Thank you.